Hey, this is the third video for Chapter 9, Section 3. This video is going to go through all of parts A, B, and C for example 1. What you should try and do is at some point pause and try them yourself and see if you can finish the problems. But I'm going to go through each of them. So in A, we have 4x squared minus 18 is equal to negative 9. So there is no bx term, there's no linear term, so I'm going to solve using square roots. So I'm going to add 18 to both sides, and I'm going to get 4x squared is equal to a positive 9, because negative 9 plus 18 is a positive 9. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 4, and I'm going to get x squared is equal to 9/4. And I am now going to take the square root of both sides. Square root of x squared is equal to the square root of 9/4. So x is equal to plus or minus. Now if you remember, we did the fact that the square root is actually an exponent, is a 1/2 exponent. So I can actually apply the square root to the numerator and apply the square root to the denominator separately. The square root of 9 is 3. The square root of 4 is 2, so x is equal to plus or minus 3/2. In B, 3x squared minus 7 is equal to negative 7. I have no linear term, I have no bx term, so I'm going to solve using square roots. I'm going to add 7 to both sides, and I'm going to get 3x squared is equal to 0. This is still an equation. It still equals 0. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. You don't need to show that division. I tend to. So I'm going to get x squared is equal to 0. Well, you can take the square roots, but what times itself gives you 0? And the answer here is x is equal to 0. We won't use the plus or minus, but similar to the last time, if you graphed this, you would see a quadratic that's sitting on the x-axis. So, okay. And lastly, C. Negative 2x squared plus 3 is equal to 27. Since I don't see a linear term, a bx term, I'm going to solve using square roots. Subtract 3 from both sides, I will get negative 2x squared is equal to 24. Divide both sides by negative 2, and I'm going to get x squared is equal to negative 12. Now, there's a problem here. Something squared is equal to a negative, because remember, multiply two positive numbers together, you get a positive. Multiply two negative numbers together, you get a positive. So there's no way to get an x squared is equal to negative 12 in the real numbers. So you could write no real solutions if you pick up on this. Now take note, my x squared is isolated. But if you had continued to solve it, you would take the square root of both sides, and then gotten x is equal to, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have that yet. But now I should have it, plus or minus the square root of negative 12. And if you grab your calculator and you try and do the square root of negative 12, you're going to get error, non-real answers. In Algebra 2, you're going to learn how to simplify this in the imaginary and complex numbers. But in Algebra 1, we focus on the real numbers. This has no real solutions. So you could write it then here. No real solutions. I don't mind when you write it. If we actually graph this, the parabola, it's opening down. The parabola would actually never touch the x-axis because it has no real solutions.